the ability to? Oh, awesome, great.
That we're gonna, okay.
Thank you. Okay. I'm just in the interest of time, just look into this and maybe see if we can move anything to decisions before we move on. So regarding type of blog content, I see present content and format works well. I'd like to see the impact on the families and understand their journeys. Maybe see more content regarding future treatments, and links to resources might be helpful. Incorporating elements like videos and current trends. And yeah, I think there's another comment about videos being helpful alongside the written content. That seems to be a common theme, having both written and video content available. And maybe better showcasing some of the material that we're creating, like the plain language summary, so it's more easily accessible. In terms of who to invite, everybody, it seems to be, so patient and non-patient partners, clinical and research. And proportion, 50-50, or maybe consider slightly more focused on patients to bring in that readership, for so to speak. Okay, great. So it seems like video. Feel free to interrupt me. I'm just going on. Video and written seems to be a common idea in terms of format. And then there's, impact, but also research. I'm going to put this stuff about resources and private chat and better displaying patient voices down here. I think I'll bring these ideas over to the team working on the website so they have that feedback. It's more so related to how that information is displayed rather than the content generated. And there's comments here that I'm trying to open.
Yeah, that's the perk of having all these sticky notes is we can go back and compare and contrast among the different groups.
Okay, great.
I was just going to quickly say how we have, going off of how we have the 10 top priorities, maybe it would be beneficial to, in like some sort of blog format, to have like 10 top common questions that are asked with like answers regarded to that. And maybe that could be decided with the patient partners to some degree.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if we're just gonna go down to this next session of the board regarding the blog planning itself. So we think maybe we'll include 50-50 split patient non-patient, talk about future research as well as patient stories, and have written and video. And then in terms of the planning, we're hoping here to referring back to what we just decided in the last session about the topics we're going to think about each quarter for the next 2 years, about what ideas for blog posts we could think of. And if someone comes to mind about who would fit that post idea, we could put them in here as well. So feel free to shout out anything that comes to mind, or fill them in with the sticky notes. We can, go back to some of the ideas that even came up in the last session that didn't make it to like the final topic, but are related. So I think for topic 1, we had second cancer screening and risks. I hope you don't mind me switching back and forth so I can remember. But we also had the idea of second-hand probability and living well. So maybe if for whatever theme that, this is just my suggestion, for whatever doesn't come through in the cup of tea presentation, an alternative could, or like to complement that, would be a blog post about it. So I'm gonna just throw those in here. Does anyone have any other ideas specific for second cancer screening that wasn't captured before or that's coming to mind now?
Well, in terms of, the second cancer, I mean, it might be interesting to just have, like I find it's really interesting to read the personal sort of journeys through, right? So if you had, a patient partner put in what their journey is through second cancer screening or lack of, that might be a good way to look at it. And, then if you even had, let's say, one of the physicians looking at, what would they recommend for second cancer screening, because there's not really any Canadian, true recommendations, right?
Mm-hmm.
That might be an interesting way to do that. So to, have the two perspectives based on that.
Yeah, I've always been curious about the timeline of like when some of the research comes out of what's effective versus when it gets implemented. Because some of these recommendations, at least from New York, I remember like the full body MRIs used to be a thing, and then they kind of stopped recommending doing that annually. And so I'm curious of like the connection between the research and the implementation.
Okay, great. If you go to topic 2 for 3D printing, there's the ideas that came out in the last section, the prosthetic eye trial and the 3D models and the training for related training. Was there anything else that comes to mind? I think maybe other than having the clinician researcher perspective, in my opinion, be interested if a patient in that trial would be willing to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have anything to add?
I would just add maybe the perspective on like one of the students that is trying it out, or one of the residents that is
Oh
experimenting
yeah, like for the red
perspective.
eye reflex test.
Maybe get like
Mm.
their blog post on, oh yeah, it's so much better than the typical what we do. Just reading it from a textbook.
If you don't mind adding that in. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else here before we move on? Or we could just, you guys have the board, you can add them as they come to you, if the ideas come later. Topic 3 was impact of RB on daily living. I think somebody added the children versus adults. I think it's great. I know an idea from the last session was Samrian with her experience working with CNIB
Mm-hmm.
and how she could maybe teach us some of she shows her clients there in terms of how to adapt to daily living. Let me just take a look back here to see if there's anything in this. I could do some of this as well. Interesting. Mary or Morgan, any thoughts on this one? No. Okay. All right, and then for psychosocial, Post idea about child life interviews of participants on their coping after participating, or even their experiences participating with child life. That's really interesting. Examples of past participants as patient authors and as non-patient authors over lovely child life specialists.
Yeah, this one seems more straightforward.
Anything to add?
I think that one would be fun because like recess therapy and things like that are really, really hugely popular now in social media. And it would be like interviewing kids and asking them about, what did you like? What did you not like? What was your favorite part? And if it's helping them. Just so very similar to that interviewing. And so we could have a written and a video component. It would be kind of fun.
Great.
Yeah.
It's probably my mistake. Why just go social again? Let me just look. No, this was depict.
Oh, okay.
One other thing in the coping, like psychosocial kind of side of things too, is that in the sessions that we do, we usually have the kids for 6 to 7 hours. We do some really fun and spontaneous things like write our own songs and content and things like that relate to what helps us or makes us feel good, right? So it could potentially also include the kids sharing things like that. It doesn't have to be limited to an interview, but we've never really looked at the child side of everything because we're adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I know with Mary's, nod to families needing and wanting to talk, there has never really been an opportunity for kids to do this. And anytime we've tried, so we have a special program called Upopolis in Canada that connects patient populations and gives them kind of like almost like an intranet to talk to each other. But RB has never taken off because we really don't have great connection or continuity for RB families. So despite attempts, kids don't really see themselves as RB anything because they're not included in conversations like this. So it exists, but we don't actively support it, share it, or even let kids know that these conversations are going on. So they're not doing any of this. And our content is for adults. But I do like that a lot of the child life content we've done recently has included some really, fun activities. One of the things Ivana and I discussed was maybe increasing the child life activity content that we offer, like we did today. So an asynchronous activity to being a quarterly offering that encourages children, and there's like children that are, childhood retinoblastoma survivors, but also their siblings and families to participate in creative art and expressive arts activities and science activities like we've done in live broadcasts during actual meetings before, which was the only time we really included kids in our CRRAB and World Eye Cancer Hope and 1RB World, like all of those online platforms that we used. We only did that because of the pandemic. So, and then we've lost it again. So something for us to think about.
One of the amazing things.
Ashwin, sorry, Mary, Ashwin just posted that, old enough kids talking about scientific research. We're starting to do that now, but we just haven't done enough of it.
One of the things that has amazed me over the past, I guess, 4 or 5 years, especially at the world ones and stuff, that they've been doing online, is the fact that there were so many adults who said that they had never met another person with RB in their lifetime before they, all of a sudden are involved with, RB1 or something like that. It just amazed me. And so what are we missing? Why are we not connecting these children who have the same problem with one another? So that the older kids can help the younger kids and whatever. Like, we're really missing something here. And
we're
we
not,
have the
though,
technology
Mary. We're
to
doing
do it, right?
We're doing it. It's just I would say families to come in person, families lack the funding to travel. So we do offer it a lot. And actually the World Eye Cancer Hope 1RB World that we offered in Washington many, many years ago had a lot of teenagers coming. It was great. So we had infants, toddlers, and school-age children that usually make up the bulk of the participants. And then I had 4 teenagers, and they mentored the younger friends. So it was great to incorporate them, but it is not like, I feel like the limitation is funding and access to families to participate in person. And I mean, I love doing what I'm doing, but I have been working in retinoblastoma for 24 years, and only in the last maybe 6 years have I actually received any pay for any of it at all. So it's a significant commitment, even for clinicians like me, to do everything that we do with absolutely no money at all. Like it's a lot. And so a lot of the content that I create that is to meet the needs of teens and young children is done with no funding at all.
No.
Yeah. There's a lot of funding for research, but just not for research that focuses on children's coping. It's usually for a drug or something to do with treatment.
Mhm.
I think
I
we
guess
have
the one,
2
sorry.
minutes left, guys.
Oh,
Letting you know.
real quick, I was gonna note, I like the idea of the kids having written songs and like created things and being able to post those, because I think there should be options to like respect the privacy of the kids. Because I remember when I was younger, I was asked to be a part of like some promotional video. I don't remember what it was, but I didn't want to like be on camera talking about RV. And so like if I could have, sang something or like had a picture show up, that would have been fine. So I like the like variety of ideas of being able to, showcase the kids.
Let's see if there's any quick ideas for the last 4. So there are some ideas about the topics of depict, long-term treatment, side effects, the biobank, and new treatments. Those are some big topics. So anything jump out?
I guess when it comes to, sorry, when it comes to depict, which is like a pretty, like, for lack of a better term, visual depiction of the timeline. I guess when it comes to formatting, like a blog post or something about that, what type of formatting do you think would be appealing to everyone? Because I think this one is kind of unique and its presentation might be a bit different than some of the stories.
And I think we also have to consider like some of the material would be covered in the cup of tea, which is not visual, like a presentation. So how do we complement some of that in a blog? But it would be another video maybe, or like showing some of the plots or data available in Depict and how that helps, how it can help both patients and non-patients understand their treatment. Okay. For long-term treatment side effects, there's an idea about ISAVID versus enucleation related complications for each. Anything else come to mind? Let me just take a quick peek about what came out before. There was with human research and drug selection. Okay. And for biobank, was there anything specific about the biobank? Maybe one idea was glimpse into the latest research. So maybe the research that has come out downstream, but it's using the resources available of the biobank. I mean, Michelle, you're part of our patient advocate committee. I don't know if you'd be interested
Yes.
or other patients be interested about the work that that group does in the biobank within and how it fits within the governance. And topic 8 was new treatments broadly.
Yeah,
But,
maybe one logical step would be chemo plaque.
yeah, step RB. Let's see what else was available. I mean, there is the COG research, whether